Good morning, and welcome to Wake Up America. My name is Marcy Freedman, and as you see, we have a most distinguished guest here on today's program. Mr. G has played a major role on the national and international stage for decades. Mr. Thank you so much for taking time from your very busy schedule to appear with us here.
My pleasure, Marcy.
I'm going to start out with a question that is very interesting to me. You have, for a long time, stood firmly in opposition to abortion, and at the same time, you have been in favor of capital punishment.
Capital punishment is our way of demonstrating the sanctity of life.
Recent reports suggest that 46.7 million Americans have no health insurance. This seems appalling to me. How do you feel about it?
It gets into quota, go into numerical, set numbers for doctors or for, it could go into all kinds of things.
Among the many pressing health issues, one area is extremely sensitive. Can you explain the conservative agenda for dealing with mental health issues, ranging from Alzheimer's disease to depression to psychosis?
What a terrible thing to have lost one's mind, or not to have a mind at all. How true that is.
Let's consider a hypothetical case.
If a frog had wings, he wouldn't hit his tail on the ground. Too hypothetical.
I still would like to pursue this. Preliminary studies have shown that
Facts are stupid things.
But in order to get to the truth regarding many issues, statistics can be important.
The public doesn't care about figures.
I'd like to change our topic. I think many members of the public would agree that positions on gay marriage have changed radically.
I think gay marriage is something that should be between a man and a woman.
All right, let's talk a bit about your Christian beliefs. As a Christian and a devout believer in God's words, what do you think the Bible would have to say about the current political situation?
The answer is, I haven't really thought of it that way. Here's how I think of it. First, I've heard that, by the way, I guess I'm more of a practical fellow. I vowed after September the 11th that I would do everything I could to protect the American people. And my attitude, of course, was affected by the attacks. Let's see. I knew we were at war. I knew that the enemy obviously had to be sophisticated and lethal to fly hijacked planes into facilities that we would, killing thousands of people, innocent people, doing nothing, just sitting there going to work.
I don't want to leave the religious issue yet. I know that you are very devout, very pious, but do you feel that sometimes you are prone to disregarding the fact that our country is founded upon the principle of the separation of church and state?
Go back to what our founders and our founding documents meant. They're quite clear that we would create law based on the God of the Bible and the Ten Commandments.
I don't want to be disrespectful, but I have to admit that some of your statements baffle me.
I'm not the most articulate emotionalist.
Let's move on to another topic. There are those in Congress who are in favor of granting the government the authority to remove websites from the Internet based on their content. This has prompted the Civil Liberties Union.
The ACLU is to Christians what the American Nazi Party is to Jews.
As you probably know, Wake Up America is watched by millions of Americans, and at this point in time, many of them are suffering because of the recession. Do you have anything to say to those many people who feel so powerless because in our country, wealth and power are connected?
As you know, I don't need to take any money from anybody. I have plenty of money myself. I will make the decisions for the people.
I am beginning to wonder if conservatives in Congress, in fact conservatives anywhere in this country, are capable of showing compassion for the poor, the underprivileged, the handicapped.
I've got a record that is conservative and a record that is compassionated.
Certainly no rational person would deny that in a civilized state, governments must be instituted that will help people. Do you agree?
What I am against is quotas. I am against hard quotas. Quotas, they basically delineate based upon whatever. However they delineate, quotas, I think, vulcanize society. So I don't know how that fits into what everyone else is saying, but they're relative positions, but that's my position.
I think our audience would be very interested in hearing your opinion on the growing stature of women in our country. Specifically, how do you feel about the accomplishments of Latinas, such as Sonia Sotomayor?
She's either Puerto Rican or the same thing as Cuban. I mean, they're all very hot. They have the, part of the black blood in them and part of the Latino blood in them that together makes it.
Do you personally feel threatened by women of power?
Feminism was established so as to allow unattractive women easier access to the mainstream of society.
I'd like to move our conversation in a completely different direction. The recent disasters in the Gulf of Mexico must have changed your opinion. How do you feel about America's dependence on oil and the impact on the environment?
Don't worry about that.
Currently, China and other nations are becoming more and more powerful. Do you feel that the world supremacy of the United States is slipping away?
I will never apologize for the United States of America. I don't care what the facts are.
Certainly, since 9/11, many Americans, I would say most Americans, feel less secure, both at home and abroad. Can you tell us what you feel are the most serious potential threats to Americans?
The greatest threat to our security is a liberal media bias.
Within the Republican Party, there are those who feel that the Christian right is now too influential. How does the Republican Party plan to respond to those Republicans making this claim?
Good Christians, like slaves and soldiers, ask no questions.
I think that's a good point at which to conclude our discussion. I want to thank Mr. for taking his time to answer my questions to the best of his ability. Thank you for watching our show. See you again. Thank you, Mr.
So, what are you doing after the show? Want to go out for a cup of coffee or something?
Cut. I'm out of here, please. Thank you.
I guess sleeping together is out of the question.